Dan Rubenstein, when we came on the air on Thursday and did our week 2 prediction episode, you gave a rather long preamble talking about the emotion, talking about the tension, talking about the desire for some of the teams that we were going to see in week 2 to try and ascend to the form that everybody expects. A team like a Florida Gators.
Right.
Maybe a team like the Clemson Tigers. Maybe a team like the Arizona State Sun Devils. This is all just a real big work in progress this early in the season. And there was some hope out there that these teams might show us a little bit more of their, let's say, finished product.
Sure.
As we come on the airwaves tonight, midnight Eastern time, you, me, the Verballer hood in tow. We've got a lot to discuss because much of that did not happen, Dan.
Yeah.
In week 2, it was a bit of a weird week. Bit of a roller coaster out there. Didn't always see some of these results coming, but alas, that's college football, my friend. Welcome back. How are you?
I'm great. It turned out to be more of a saliva stretch these past 48 to 72 hours between the NFL's kickoff and Florida's defensive lineman getting an unsportsmanlike penalty for spitting and got tossed, right? A lot more saliva Saturday than I figured would be a participant in this week. But no, a lot of tension going on in this week. A lot of teams, a lot of fan bases crazy upset at the product they now have before them these next 12 weeks or so. I loved it. I loved every second of week 2. I can't wait to talk about it with you. I have a lot of thoughts.
We are going to go through as many of the big storylines as we can over the next hour or so, give you our instant reactions here. We'll also, of course, do the thing where we go conference by conference, pull out any other storylines maybe that we don't talk about at the very top. We do have your tweets and social media postings for our role-playing segment, which we'll do a little bit later. We got some fiery responses to that one,
yes,
as you might expect. I have also compiled my news of the weird for this week, too. We had some very, oddball events go down,
yes,
as it seems we get every week when we're talking about college football. And last but certainly not least, we got a great crop of reverbs as well, Dan. Where do you want to start here today?
Let's start with the primetime game. Let's start with Michigan, Oklahoma, just because there was, I wouldn't say back and forth to it, but there was a little bit of drama. And in terms of a narrative of two teams that are going in hopefully upwards direction, that's barely English, hopefully going on in an upwards trajectory from where they were last season, I thought it was a fascinating watch.
Oklahoma 24, Michigan 13. There was a real question coming into this one, and we discussed it on the preview episode about who had more to prove. And I think we agreed unanimously that it was Oklahoma.
Yes.
This game, there was a lot more pressure on Brent Venables and the Oklahoma Sooners than there was Michigan, because Michigan's got a true freshman quarterback. Michigan, to a large extent, is still going through a transition with the new coach, kind of getting his guys in there. They had mass turnover from a year ago. There's just a lot new on the Michigan side. But nonetheless, this was an early season measuring stick. Michigan, one of the better teams, I think, certainly upper tier, upper half of the Big Ten, versus Oklahoma, where we don't really know where Oklahoma is relative to the field in the SEC. So this was an interesting way to kind of measure one conference against another, especially the SEC versus Big Ten. That's always interesting. Oklahoma got the better of them. I'm curious to get your takeaways on what stuck out the most of you, because I feel like there were a bunch of key storylines that emerged from this one.
Oklahoma physically smashed them. Let's oversimplify this. Oklahoma up front on defense got the better of Michigan up front on offense, which has been Michigan's calling card these past few years, their ability to dominate up front. Oklahoma up front was able to swarm and harass Bryce Underwood, and aside from a spectacularly good Justice Haynes, I think it was a 75-yard touchdown run, it was Oklahoma on defense. It was Oklahoma on offense. And even though the passing game was largely good from Jon Mateer, it was his ability as a dual threat to find lanes. Dude's just a warrior. Is just like his ability to find grass, his ability to extend plays, his ability to say, you know what, screw it. I know my guy is there. I'm whipping it downfield. Like, there were 2 games into the Jon Mateer experience in Norman, Oklahoma. Dude has the shape of a folk hero. In terms of what he can be for Oklahoma ahead of this SEC schedule, which I believe starts relatively soon.
Yep.
They're not a complete team. There's a lot to clean up for Oklahoma. You'd like to have, more consistent offensive weapons than maybe just Deion Burks, who was very good in this game. And they were getting a lot out of their backfield, both on the ground. And well, it was mostly through the air. But in terms of what he brings to a winning team, he's a thrill ride for this fan base. I couldn't imagine a team that's more excited to see what their quarterback's ceiling is right now based on what he was able to do against a quality defense.
Yeah, and you mentioned the ground game. It wasn't exactly a stellar performance on the ground for the Oklahoma Sooners, but I think what Mateer does on the ground is what makes him so dangerous.
That last drive was backbreaking.
Oh my gosh. And we can talk about elusive quarterbacks, and we joke all the time on this show about guys who have a little bit of Baker Mayfield in them. I mean, there's any number of different scrambling quarterbacks, elusive quarterbacks. But what I think makes Mateer unique, at least in the present, is his ability to change direction.
Unreal.
And they talked about it on the broadcast. I mean, he can stop on a dime. I'm reminded of that old Ike Hilliard play when he was playing in the bowl game for Florida and just sort of caught the ball and stopped and just instantly went the other direction. I mean, he's able to do that kind of stuff, and it clearly puts some defenders on skates. There was a question about whether or not, and I was one who posed it, I know a lot of others have as well, would he be able to go up against better teams? Because played for Wazoo, no disrespect to Wazoo, that was a Mountain West schedule. You've heard me say that countless times at this point. Jon Mateer did not look like he was overwhelmed by a good Michigan front. There will probably be better fronts in the SEC throughout the course of the schedule. It is a murderer's row that Oklahoma has to play this year, but he didn't seem like he was fazed by the situation. And he seemed like he was pretty composed back there. So the combination of him being so elusive, him bringing that added flair to the Oklahoma offense, with, I think, just in general, him looking pretty good and looking the part like a folk hero.
Right.
As you said, that's got to be just a huge relief if you're an Oklahoma fan to feel like you've got a guy now that you can trust in. You mentioned the Michigan side of things. I mean, Justice Haynes did go over 100 yards, but as you said, most of it was on that long run. You can see the potential with Bryce Underwood.
Yep.
I think that's obvious. He was only 9 of 24 in this game, so it wasn't exactly a stellar passing showing. But more to the point, they talked a lot on the broadcast as well about how he didn't really seem fazed by the situation. He obviously needs to clean up some stuff. He's obviously not a finished product. Jon Mateer has had more reps at this level. But you can see the potential in Bryce Underwood. You can see the potential in this Michigan team, I think, as a whole. But they're just not there yet. And there's nothing wrong with that. Oklahoma maybe has a little bit more veteran experience at this point. They were playing at home. It was always going to be a tough spot for Michigan to come in there and win. And so I think we learned a lot about both teams, but I came away just real impressed with Oklahoma to the extent now where I'm kind of scratching my chin a little bit. And I'm wondering, did I undersell this team in my previews? Was I a little bit too bearish on the Sooners because I thought they looked good?
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. It was more just the schedule and what was due on offense. We knew the defense had a really good chance to be excellent. I came away almost thinking, okay, Oklahoma's in a good place. I don't know what their ceiling is wins-wise, but they're going to be a force to be reckoned with, whatever that means. Are they going to lose a bunch of games 21-19, win a bunch of games 21-19? TBD, but they're going to be competitive. They're going to be extremely competitive. Michigan-wise, I'm not so sure Sharon Moore is a long-term coach in Ann Arbor.
Well, that's a bigger question. And when I say I think you can see the potential on this team, I think you can look at the players and see that there are a number of guys here that got a really high ceiling.
Yep.
But the Sharon Moore conversation is also something that was bouncing around the back of my head as I was watching this game.
There's dudes on this defense. Bryce Underwood has the form of a future dude. He is still raw. I'm not sure they have a full handle on how to call plays and build a playbook around him. And given some of their limitations, I mean, they were without their starting tight end tonight, but given some of their limitations at receiver, I don't think there's a ton of star power on this offensive line. I don't think this is an offense built to win the Big Ten this year, and we'll see what they do in the portal. That's what I came away with. I'm like, man, I think the hire of Chip Lindsey's fine, but I came away thinking, like, does Sharon Moore have the ability to operate in this shadow of Jim Harbaugh successfully? And got more questions than answers tonight.
Speaking of coaching questions.
Yes.
USF 18, the Florida Gators 16, Dan.
Yeah.
Sort of the upset of the day. Necro Grammatica, there is another Grammatica.
Yeah.
Wins it for the Bulls on a 20-yard field goal at the gun. I had this in my quad box right next to the U.S. men's soccer team game, which was also going on at the same time.
It's called a match in international football. Continue.
I'm not sure which team had a harder time scoring. The U.S. men's national team, the Florida Gators.
Did the U.S. team win?
They lost 2-0. It was a horrible showing.
Also to USF?
No, they lost to South Korea.
Oh, okay.
But either way, so look, let's put it this way. First things first, USF is a good team. We saw USF beat Boise State in week 1. That was an impressive showing. They beat them by 27.
Yeah.
Killed them. This was obviously a much different variety of win to go on the road in the swamp and come away as a victor. By beating Florida, USF instantly vaults itself, I think, to the head of the class in terms of that G5 playoff conversation. I don't see how it could be anything but. This was probably the best win any G5 team is going to have all year.
It seems right.
And they've got Miami next week. So who the hell knows if they're truly catching lightning in a bottle here and taking out the state of Florida, they have a shot next week in week 3. Beyond that, though, there is not a single team on this schedule moving forward that should beat them. I suspect someone will, because that's just the way these G5 teams work out. But they're legit. They're legit. Byron Brown is crazy exciting. He's built like Lenora Sellers. He plays a bit like Lenora Sellers. He's not Lenora Sellers, but they're going to build the whole plane out of him. Alex Golish is fun. He's a culture guy. They play hard for him, whistle to whistle. If Florida has a tough time stopping him, I can't imagine anybody in the American can stop him. Okay. So if you're a USF fan, you should be over the moon excited.
Of course.
That said, and with all due respect to my beloved USF Bulls, who I proudly picked to win the American.
Yes.
When I think about the Florida Gators in this game, I am reminded of that old Jim McKay quote. Do you remember that quote?
The youth was being brought in like a tractor beam. Continue with a Jim McKay reference.
They asked him, what do you think about your team's execution? And his response was, quote, I'm in favor of it.
Yeah.
That's what this was.
Yeah.
That's what this was. This is an almost incomprehensible loss for the Florida Gators. This was terrible on like 18 different levels. And you know what the most frustrating part of this was?
Tell me.
They still could have won.
Yeah.
When you play that bad for 60 minutes and you still probably should have won, I don't know where you go with that if you're a Florida fan, honestly. I don't know where you go with that if you're Billy Napier, who was already sort of on the hot seat.
I don't think it's a matter of going. I think a lot of Florida fans have been existing on the, Billy Napier is a failed state island for quite some time. Like,
I mean, this was just a mess. 11 penalties.
Yeah.
For 103 yards, 2 of which bailed out USF on what amounted to the game-winning drive.
Mm-hmm.
DJ Lagway missed guys. Kind of got worse as the game went on.
Yep.
They were awful in the red zone. The play calling was, I don't even know what that was.
Yeah, the first down pass, the game management, the clock management. It's
like, what the hell were they doing when they got the ball with about 2:45 left, 2 passes? They couldn't pass all game, Dan. Why are they passing there? Run the clock out.
I'm pretty sure. So USF got the ball with about 3 minutes left and couldn't do anything. And I changed it to another game, thinking to myself, all right, well, they had their shot. Florida's going to ice this one. They'll get a couple first downs or whatever. And then 6 minutes later, I turned it back to the game, and USF was lining up with the ball on first down with like 2:48 left.
Yeah.
No time had come off the clock.
Florida got the ball back. After you turned it off, Florida got the ball back. Incompletion, run. USF calls timeout. Third down, they try to throw a streak down the left sideline that was just out of the reach of a receiver.
Yeah.
Guy was open. It was just it was a risky throw for that game situation.
Yeah.
And it came back to bite him because they gave the ball back to USF. USF had plenty of time. They had the 2-minute warning to work with. It was just bad on so many fronts. And I'm not trying to dunk on Florida here, but I am actually very frustrated. I am frustrated for the people who listen to this show who I know are Florida fans,
Right.
because that was awful.
Can I extend some grace? Can I go other side of the coin? You're not who you are on your worst day. You're not who you are on your best day. Florida fans would likely rightfully argue this is not the first time this has happened with Billy Napier. He should never have been calling plays. He's not a good play caller. He's not a good offensive manager. And here we are again going through the same thing we've been going through. The grace is it's a long year. They can correct mistakes. At his best, DJ Lagway is excellent. The receivers, when healthy and at their best, can be excellent. The defense has legitimate dudes. They can grow from this. And maybe they were overlooking USF because the schedule does get extremely real in conference coming up, and they have Miami. So we can say they're not who they are on their worst day, and they will improve from here. That's the bright side of this all. That's the silver lining. They will have a best day of the season. It is to come. This was nowhere near it. So there is the potential to grow and say that's who we were in early September. That's not who we are in mid-October. That exists for everybody, potentially. And so it exists for Florida. So it can happen if that's their starting point. I just don't love what their starting point is on the sideline. That's all.
Somewhere, somehow, I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
I suspect that Jed Fish is looking at this score and just wondering, can I get back to Gainesville? Yeah. Florida's going to go fishing if it goes this route. They are. I'm going to speak it into existence. I've been talking it up for 3 years.
I don't know. He's in the Big Ten.
Let's start the rumors now. Let's just get it. Let's start it now. Let's get in early so when it happens, I can beat my chest.
Yeah. I think they might be looking at a shoe man. I don't know. We'll see.
Where you want to go next?
Let's go Cyhawk.
Cyhawk game, huh?
Yeah. Why not?
Iowa State wins 16-13 over Iowa.
All right,
this game went about exactly as expected, did it not?
Yeah, this is the same game that we get every year, and we have different winners. Lately, it's been the road team, right? And this year, we got a home Ames Iowa State team to finish it out on. I don't know how many field goals did Iowa State? Was Kyle Conradi?
Kyle Conradi, who won it last year.
Yeah, with a boot.
And this year won it again with a laser beam, like a 54-yard laser beam that the guys on the radio said didn't get above 15 feet the whole way there.
Yeah.
But all it has to do is work, and it worked in a big way here as Iowa State comes away the victor. Look, listen, it should come as no great surprise to anybody that this was an ugly defensive game. It's always an ugly defensive game. Not a whole lot of explosive plays in this one, just a lot of pickleball, a lot within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. Here is my mea culpa to the Verballerhood. And I think we all knew, even I knew when I said this back in July, that this moment was coming.
Yeah.
I have made a horrible, no good, very bad mistake gassing up Mark Gronowski.
Okay.
There was a stat floating around on Twitter from an account called Arbitrary Analytics. Quote, Iowa quarterback Mark Gronowski has broken the record for fewest passing yards, 127, by a Big Ten quarterback through the first 2 games of the season with a minimum of 35 attempts since 1995, previously held by Kane Coulter.
Great name. Yep.
At your Northwestern Wildcats. Dan, my updated take on Mark Gronowski, despite the fact that I said in the preseason he was going to be the best quarterback since Brad Banks at Iowa.
Be nice. He's got a family. He's got friends. Keep it business.
He's a decent enough runner.
Yeah.
He's a bowling ball when they let him run. As a passer, he is not accurate. I think even worse, he is very slow to process.
Yep.
He is not making quick decisions. And as you said to me when we talked, and it's truly not intended as an insult, we are just being honest with what we're seeing.
Yep.
He's a full-on FCS quarterback. That's what he is.
He's his feel is non-existent in the pocket for a pass rush, for timing, for getting footwork at the same time as routes are being run. I don't love his receivers. I don't love the way this offense was called for Iowa, but I don't know. If you have a quarterback who seems to be that limited in terms of leading a team down the field for, I don't know, man. Is it crazy to ask for 2 touchdowns a game against a decent team? Right now, it does seem complete lunacy to ask for that with the way this offense is built right now. Threw an interception that gave Iowa State a short field, right? That was their lone touchdown. It was under 20 yards, 18 or 19 yards. Their touchdown drive, their lone touchdown of the day. And it's not like Rocco Becht was amazing, but there was a 0 in his interception column, and he wasn't able to hit much downfield. They weren't able to generate big plays, but he had like the jump pass on a huge 3rd or 4th down. Like there were moments that he came through and was able to use his legs. It wasn't pretty by either one of these teams offensively, but it was just taking sacks and huge moments and just having no feel for situational stuff. It's, again, I was going to figure out a way to go 8-4.
That's what they do. Yeah, they will. They absolutely will. But it's just really frustrating.
Yeah.
And I imagine if I were to put myself in the shoes of Iowa fans out there, there was a lot of hype. I contributed to it about this guy, and
you wanted to believe. You're a romantic.
I am a romantic, and he was very good at his previous stop, but either because of the system or the supporting cast or just how his skills translate to the FBS level, through 2 games, I mean, that's a pretty damning number. He's almost 50 yards under that number, that horrible record that Kane Coulter has had since 2012.
Yes.
Not good. Why don't we stay in the Big Ten, Dan, if we could for one second?
Let's do that.
We had a bit of a boat race, did we not? Illinois 45, Duke 19?
Yeah.
Sweet white helmets for Duke, though. I don't know if you saw
I did
those.
enjoy those, yeah.
Those are nice. So look, credit to Illinois here. This was an enormous second half where they outscored Duke 31-6. Credit to Luke Altmaier, who threw for nearly 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Like, it was a storyline coming into this one. And they talked about this in the broadcast, too, about, well, the last time Luke Altmaier faced Manny Diaz, it didn't go well. We talked about it on our preview.
Yep.
Professional effort from him, efficient effort from him. He was very, very solid, and I think they answered a bunch of questions because
really good relationship with Hank Beatty, by the way.
What's that?
Really fun. He and Hank Beatty, Luke Altmaier. Really
Absolutely.
Nice 1-2.
Absolutely. So even though Duke is not what we would consider a historical football power by any stretch of the imagination, this is a good Duke team.
Yeah.
It's a good Duke team. They're going to play defense. They've got a good quarterback. There's a lot to like about this team going on the road to Duke. This was one of those early season tests. This was not the headlining game of the weekend, but it was one of the ones that I think you and I watched the most, that we were very interested in. And I think you got to give all due credit to Illinois here to put up 45, to finish this one out the way that they did. That was a damn impressive showing on the road.
Let's be fully clear about what happened in this game. Duke moved the ball. Duke got after Luke Altmaier. Duke's defense made plays. Duke's offense made plays through the air and on the ground. In some ways, more impressively than what Illinois was able to do on offense. Call me old school. You can't cough it up 5 times.
I mean, 5 turnovers. They had a botched punt return. They fumbled in the red zone.
Yeah.
They also had a penalty for having 2 players on the field at the same time wearing number 8.
The uniform infraction. Yeah.
And this has been a theme now. It's only 2 weeks in, but they've got a -6 turnover margin. It's really hard to win like that, especially when you're talking about a Duke team that, outside of Darian Mensah, still trying to figure out who those weapons are.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're basically shooting yourself in the foot like that, that's not a good place to be, even if you've got a defense that's, as I said, Havoc City. They know how to create some plays. So I came away mighty impressed just by Illinois' ability to close strong in this one after a kind of a rough first half.
And playing a lot of dudes. Showed off some depth. Illinois is absolutely high quality. And I picked Duke. I stand by that pick. But Illinois got it right, and they were quite impressive. As I don't know when is the Indiana game? In 2 weeks? It's coming up soon.
Yeah.
That's gonna be huge. Can't wait.
Missouri 42, Kansas 31. The border war is back. Kansas jumps out to a really early lead, 21-6. But then what happens? Mizzou kind of grows into the game, right? Kind of grow into the game. They get a little bit more confident. Eventually, they end up pulling away. What was your takeaway after watching this one?
Mizzou's going to be a hard out.
Yeah.
I'm just looking forward to the season. They are deficient on defense. They have some defensive issues that Jalen Daniels almost single-handedly, as he's like falling backwards, throwing to the back of the end zone, was able to take advantage of. But we talk about Jon Mateer and folk hero status. The best of Bo Prabula has Mizzou fans smiling ear to friggin' ear.
Oh, yeah.
He is really fun. His receivers are pretty good. His running back should be good all year, Ahmad Hardy. It's not a fully formed offense. It's definitely not a fully formed defense. But if you're a Mizzou fan, to have this back for the first time in 14 years, you got to be feeling saucy the way this game closed out, because it was back and forth. Jalen Daniels was trying to tow Kansas across the finish line. It looked like he was going to for a good stretch of time. And I'm still in on Kansas, but I would not like to live behind that offensive line.
We'll see. And this is an interesting thing that you bring up about the defense on the Mizzou side. And I don't disagree with that, by the way.
Yeah.
But I look at the box score in this one after watching it and just kind of getting the vibe of this game. Mizzou outgained Kansas by a 595 to 226 margin, which is a healthy margin.
Yeah.
I think most people who see that are going to be drawn to the big number, the 595. I'm drawn to the 226 number for Kansas, because I do think this will end up being a pretty good Kansas offense.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be able to run the football at some point this season. They didn't at all this game. They had 3 yards rushing in this football game.
Right.
They basically forced Jalen Daniels to single-handedly beat them.
Yeah, they couldn't do anything on the ground. It was all had to be on him.
So, if that's any indication, Jalen Daniels is a playmaker. Say what you want about Kansas as a finished product, as a well-rounded team, but Jalen Daniels is a playmaker. And the fact that they were able to just sort of limit the offense to whatever he could do, I thought that was an interesting takeaway, at least for Mizzou on defense. And to the point about Bo Prabula and the other offensive weapons, I mean, Bo looked great. He looked great. 30 of 39, went over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. He looked great.
Well, yeah.
He looked great. And it also was not a game plan where they put him on the run a whole lot.
No.
A few here and there, but that was not what they were trying to do with him. They were trying to keep him in the pocket. I'm curious to see if that's the game plan moving forward now with the injury to Sam Horn. Quarterback depth, obviously an issue at Mizzou. How do they handle Bo and, his propensity to scramble here and there? Is that something that they try to limit? But really impressive showing from Mizzou. Like, I don't know really context for what we've seen so far out of the Missouri Tigers, because they've gone against 2 teams that don't really play defense.
Right.
So it's going to get harder. But again, this might be the best schedule in the SEC. And if they can stay this balanced on offense, because that's what this was, a really balanced showing, and if they can play defense to this caliber, which I thought was good, again, against a playmaker.
It was, I think one of their touchdowns early was a scoop and score. So not defense, obviously, for Mizzou.
So the only point is, if they're going to do this the rest of the way, they will absolutely have a very big part to play in that SEC conversation. I'm not saying they win it. I'm not saying they go to the playoff. I'm not going out on a limb. I'm just saying, if they stay this balanced and if they can play this level of defense, they will be part of that conversation because of the schedule.
So what you're saying, I'm reading between the lines here, that Mizzou is your Peter North ultimate finisher of
ultimate finisher.
I think they finished 36-10 in this game. Obviously, Kansas was able to move the ball early on, but this defense absolutely grew as the game went on and became stifling. Great.
Ole Miss 30, Kentucky 23.
Yes.
This is a bad beat for those of us who locked up Ole Miss, wasn't it, Dan?
Yeah, it seemed to be that. Yeah.
Kentucky was down 10 with 13 seconds left. They decided to kick a field goal. They kicked the field goal because they wanted to set themselves up for an onside kick and a subsequent Hail Mary. They did not get the kick, but they did get the field goal. For what it's worth, Lane Kiffin said at the end of the game when he was giving his comments on the field, quote, "Sorry to a lot of gamblers there at the end. Thank you, Lane. I accept your apology."
Yeah.
But I did lose $20 and another lock, which kind of is my thing here.
Yes. Here's what I took away from this game. Ole Miss found a way to win in a losable spot. I thought Kentucky did a decent enough job defensively. They pick off Austin Simmons a couple times early. It was just kind of a weird, arrhythmic game for a stretch. Impressed with Ole Miss's ability to run the ball for stretches. And Kentucky needs to decide whether or not they believe in finding players and coaches to take advantage of the forward pass rules in this sport. Because that, coupled with Mark Stoops also not really knowing time and clock management skills after all these years, is not really a recipe for 8-9 win seasons anymore. If you can't find a coordinator and you can't develop or find a quarterback in the portal, because they've been able to find receivers, they've been able to find running backs, they've been able to develop offensive lines, certainly they've been able to develop defenses, but you just limit yourself if you can't do the thing that everybody can kind of do at this point. And so they did enough to win this game, short of being able to offer varied options
Right.
in terms of success. It's a disappointing watch, and I have no skin in this game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I think my big takeaway was, well, twofold. A, I really liked what I saw out of the running backs in this game. Kejuan Lacey, the back for Ole Miss, was pretty good.
Yeah.
Seth McGowan, I thought, looked really good for Kentucky. A couple plays in this game where he was able to get to the edge and make a play and get some hard yards.
Yeah, Dante Dowdell as well. Yeah.
Dante Dowdell, sure. So I think that was a bright spot really for both sides here. The Austin Simmons thing is interesting. He's clearly a talent. He clearly was making some curious decisions early, but I thought it was meaningful the way he bounced back from those.
Yeah, and he was beat up too. Yeah.
He was beat up. He did go down later in this game for a period of time and didn't finish the game. Trinidad Chambliss came in, the quarterback transfer from Ferris State, is more of a runner. It sounds like Austin Simmons is fine. Lane just left the other guy in because he was going to run it anyway and try to kill the clock. But I thought the way that Austin Simmons bounced back from some of those early miscues was meaningful.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is another thing where if you listen to the broadcast, they talked about this and how they're treating these things that you hear teachable moments a lot, you know, drink every time you hear it. Austin Simmons seemed to have learned from some of what ailed him earlier in this game and got better. So that was, I think, a positive. The Ole Miss offensive line left a little bit to be desired in pass protection.
Agree.
Felt like Kentucky was draped all over whoever was playing quarterback for Ole Miss, but by and large, a 30-23 win, you'll take that, especially in a revenge spot, especially still with so much new on the Ole Miss side. This is still a team that is trying to find itself after losing a lot last season.
Including Harrison Wallace, who finds himself in a real offense now and succeeding every week. It's great.
How dare you?
Yeah. You know, it just gets easier.
Baylor 48, SMU 45, Dan.
Oh, this one was real fun.
Double overtime shootout. 93 points, 1,059 yards, defense optional to say the least. We expected more of a shootout. That is what we got. I checked social media. It looks like both fan bases hated the refs, so that's fun.
Great.
SMU in this one, they set the tone. We should have known right out of the chute what we were in for here. First play from scrimmage, 75-yard touchdown pass, tipped up by a Baylor defender, caught by Romello Brinson.
Yes.
For a 75-yard score. From that point forward, it just sort of devolved into this crazy scoring contest, back and forth, the deeper we got into it. Baylor coming from behind late, tying it up, getting it to overtime, and then eventually winning it. SMU did try a 57-yarder at the gun to win it, but it came up a little bit short. Then they ended up missing another field goal, a 38-yarder, in the second overtime period, which gave Baylor a little bit of cover to go on and win it. But yeah, I mean, I came away kind of impressed by Baylor, not because they played any defense, and that's going to be, I think, a big issue for them moving forward,
Sure.
as it was last season. But they trailed by at least 10 points 4 times in this game, notably that sequence later in the game where they were down 14 with about 8.5 left in the fourth quarter that I mentioned. But I thought they responded to that well. This is a team that showed a lot of resilience in this affair here in a game that was very losable against a good team on the road, no less.
Right.
So I give Dave Aranda a lot of credit. These are the types of games that's really easy to sort of lose focus and not match the opponent, have them get a couple scores up on you and then not be able to come back from that. But even in instances where they did, their resilience was pretty key here. So good for them.
I'm going to give you a bit of sage wisdom from my University of Oregon brain, educated brain. If you're going to play a 48-45 game, be the 48. Right? And winning is a skill. You now know, if you've watched Baylor football, you can both pass on them and run on them. But to your point, being down, being confident, knowing that you can score, knowing that you can move the ball no matter what, it's huge for Baylor moving forward in a Big 12 that now, with Kansas State losing again, looks incredibly wide open. Arizona State loses tonight, gets thrown all over by Blake Shapen and Mississippi State. I don't know if Baylor's winning this conference. I don't know if Baylor's in this conversation in late November. I'm just telling you right now, there are a lot of 48-45s on this schedule potentially, and that's a good thing for the Baylor Bears. And also, other side of things, I should say, can we just get Kevin Jennings a defense? Because he's legitimately incredible when he is on. He is so friggin' fun. You can tell how much SMU lost on their own defense after last season. But the best of Kevin Jennings is as exciting a quarterback in this sport has. I love it.
He started 10 for 10 in the first half.
Yeah.
Had something like 15 yards per completion. He's incredible. And he was able to take advantage of the Baylor defense, which, again, is going to be a talking point. They're going to have to outscore a bunch of teams if they want to win this thing. And even though I've been somewhat skeptical of SMU just because there was a lot of turnover from a year ago, I do think now, just with very limited sample size, you look at the ACC schedule and it's like, you could see it. You could see if they're playing offense like this, how they're always a threat.
Sure.
I don't think they're going to have as much success as a year ago, but you can just look at the schedule and you don't have to squint too hard to see a path for SMU to make some serious noise in the ACC.
I agree. And let's get Baylor and Iowa State together. One side takes the offense, one side takes the defense. Let's get them winning the conference and move on together to the college football playoff. That's the ideal scenario to me.
You mentioned Arizona State.
Yes.
They went on the road. They lost to Mississippi State.
Yep.
Notably, before this game, I said on our preview that I could not, in good faith, take Mississippi State plus the points at home because I did not know what I was betting on.
Right.
Or in this case, I thought I knew what I'd be betting on. And
Did
that
I take
was
the points? I don't even remember.
It almost doesn't matter at this point.
Correct.
Because Mississippi State had the lowest win total in the SEC. Their win total is 3.5. Vegas did not expect much from this team. This team did go out, though, and do a lot of work in the portal. This team did get Blake Shapen back healthy, who looked great in this game. This was a really good showing for Mississippi State. This is a really meaningful upset for them at home. It may not knock Arizona State out of really anything of merit. Clearly, it's a non-conference game.
Right.
By the time the season's over, they're still going to be, I think, a top 15 team at the worst. But their ability to figure out a way to win this game, especially when they couldn't really get much going in the second half, scraping and clawing and finding a way to get it done. Those are the types of wins that do build a culture. And that's something that they desperately need right now because they are, in effect, rebooting that program. So I give them a lot of credit. This was a hard-fought win. They got up early. It was something they had to hang on to late. I give credit to Blake Shapen. I just thought this was a really impressive effort. On the Mississippi State side and the ASU side, like, Nothing about Sam Leavitt was impressive in this game. He
No.
was sailing balls. He had 2 picks. I mean, this was definitely not a great showing for ASU.
And just the quiet credit to Mississippi State's defense for just
Yes.
creating havoc, for making plays. This was the big question coming in because they were so putrid at times last season that the energy was in the stadium, that even though ASU clawed back into this game, largely because of what's Kanye Udo and Raleek
Yep.
Brown, the USC transfer, the Army transfer Udo, they ran hard. They were pushing around the Mississippi State front near the end of this game. They were in position to bring ASU back, even though the passing game completely abandoned ASU. But Mississippi State closed. Blake Shapen closed. A healthy Blake Shapen looked very, very good against the ASU back end. It was Brennan Thompson, I think, who
Yep.
they had a couple receivers over 100 yards, but he was the one making those deep plays. Crazy impressive showing from Mississippi State early on to vault them into at least a feisty spot as they move, soon into the SEC portion of their schedule.
While we're talking about the Big 12, we should talk about this one. I could not believe this one when I saw it.
What?
Army 24, K-State 21.
Buddy.
Army lost in overtime to Tarleton State a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now they beat K-State?
Yeah, K-State laid the lumber on North Dakota, beat them by, 1, 2, 3 points. Team like that kind of power. Yeah.
But still, I mean, was this not shocking to you?
Okay, so it was and it wasn't, just because anytime a team loses to a service academy, a quality version of a service academy, you're like, I know how this game went, even if I didn't watch every snap. And that is, you're going to get a limited number of possessions. It's going to hurt to play against this team and not be able to get off the field as quickly as you're used to, or as much as you'd like to. And you are just going to you're going to deal with a drive of your own going 6 minutes, ending in a punt. And you're just like, wow. And that you get 3 possessions a half. And if you don't make it count, 4 possessions a half, you can be ultimately crazy screwed. And if you're not getting bites at the apple, if you're not getting the ball back to just get a new drive going, which you're just not against a quality version of a service academy team, that's the tenor of the game. And that's what it was.
I just don't think this is a quality version of a service academy team.
Tonight
and I mean, no disrespect to the United States Army, but this is not the best version of Army that
not
we've
the best.
Seen, in a couple of years. There's a lot new here. They're still trying to find their way as well. They lost to Tarleton State, Dan.
Yes. But
so to beat K-State on the road, I didn't see that coming.
It's good timing, though, right? If you're K-State, you're like, well, this team just lost to Tarleton State. Army wasn't ready for Tarleton. Kansas State wasn't ready for Army. Kansas State, I don't know what they are this year. I don't know what's going on with K-State, because they've been nothing but quality, basically, during the Chris Kleiman time. They've won the conference, and they can't figure themselves out. And so it's pretty worrisome moving forward about K-State's. It's September. What are we recording? September 6th. But Dylan Edwards is hurt. They're beat up. They were more beat up tonight.
Yep.
You got to beat Army at home. You just have to. And they didn't.
I don't know, man. They got outgained 335 to 246. They didn't even get to 250 yards against Army. And again, part of that is the tempo. Part of that is the pace of play. If Army is having a good game, Army is able to take the air out the ball. They limit your chances as an offense. That's part of the whole game plan. That's why they do what they do. You got to get more than 250 yards against Army's defense. You just have to.
But isn't this the Irish curse, right? Florida State loses last year. Was it? God,
it was Nebraska.
We had a Northwestern Nebraska situation. I think Northwestern, did they finish that season 1-11? There was something crazy, but they won that game. They were undefeated overseas. Yeah. So I don't know. If you believe in such things, here we are.
This was, I think, one of those games that, to your point, raised some serious alarms about K-State.
Yeah.
Where it's one thing if you're losing to a capital G good team. I don't think Army's going to be that good this year.
We'll see.
And certainly last week, their game against an FCS opponent, not even like the best version of a North Dakota FCS team.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something up there. Maybe somebody who's a little bit closer to the K-State program can write in and let us know what's going on. But this has not been a good showing thus far here through 3 games for K-State.
By the way, how many fan bases after week 2 are just laying awake in bed right now saying to themselves, what the hell was that?
Yeah. I
Of
hear you.
ranked
Actually, you know what,
teams?
Dan?
Yeah.
Before we get to sort of our whip around segment where we go conference to conference, why don't we do just that?
Roll. Play.
Ooh,
If
okay.
I'm not me, who the hell am I?
We'll go a little bit out of order tonight. We're all friends here, right? Here's what
Fine.
we do. We put out a call on the Twitter sphere, really anywhere where we've got a social media presence, and we ask a very simple question. We say, answer this for tonight's show. I'm a fan of blank, and right now I'm feeling blank.
Yes.
We were inundated. I say inundated with responses to this one, okay? I'm only going to pick a handful of them out. If you follow us on Twitter, that's where we got most of the responses. If you follow us there, you can go, you can click on it, you could read through all of them. It's an incredible portal into how different fan bases are feeling. I'm a Gator fan. I'm feeling despondent. I had really hoped things would be different this year. I'm a Kansas fan, and right now I'm feeling excited about our offense.
Better offense. Yeah.
I'm a Florida State fan. Right now I'm feeling Schadenfreude.
Schadenfreude. Yeah.
I'm a Vandy fan, feeling optimistic. Too optimistic.
Sure.
We'll talk about that in a second. To that point, Ryan says, I'm a Virginia Tech fan. I'm done with it all.
Yeah.
Got a bunch of Virginia Tech fans here. I'm a Missouri State fan. Right now, I'm feeling pretty freaking good. Thanks for asking.
Get on the board.
I'm a Penn State fan. Feeling better after seeing other top 10 teams struggle worse than us. What else we got here? I mean, there's so many here. A Baylor fan, a deep and lustful love of Sawyer Robertson.
Ooh, I like that. I got to think Michigan and ASU fan. Empty on both fronts. That's tough.
Oh, my gosh. I'm an Iowa State fan right now. I'm feeling electric. We're winning the conference. You could win the conference.
I'm seeing an Oklahoma fan feeling dangerous.
Yeah, man.
That.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of interesting responses. Go out there and read those, okay? Thank you for writing in. Let's go around college football and talk about some other games very quickly.
Take me.
I'm going to give you a couple games here. I want you to just give me a quick thought, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Vandy 44, Virginia Tech 20.
Told you so. That was my thought. Vandy came on strong. Virginia Tech started strong and couldn't hold up anything, couldn't throw the ball. Vandy and Diego Pavia made early mistakes and then corrected those mistakes and didn't look back. They looked very, very good. We don't know how good Virginia Tech is or isn't, but Vandy looks like the best possible version of themselves early on, which is great.
Yeah, Diego Pavia controlled this game.
Complete game. Yeah.
He controlled this game. Virginia Tech, I'm done. I said it on the preview. I'm done.
Yep.
I agree with Ryan who wrote in. I'm out. Their offense didn't look good. Something's off, and it's probably the end of the Brent Pry era if things don't change in a hurry.
Yep.
Nothing about this was impressive, and it was close early, and then Vandy pulled away late. I think that's the frustrating part of this if you're a Virginia Tech fan because, this was, and we had people write in and say, "Well, you're wrong. Vandy actually has a better roster. Whatever. This is a home game. They were favored." Yep. This is a very winnable game. It still was a winnable game through a half, but second half, I don't know where they went.
They scored. How many unanswered did Vandy score in this game? Like 34 in the second. They beat Virginia Tech, if my math is correct, 34-0 in the second half.
Brutal.
Yep.
Louisville 28, James Madison 14.
I was more confident in Louisville than I watched some of this game. This was the Friday night, right?
Yeah.
I watched some of this game. JMU went out to an early lead. Louisville kind of got its act together, but it wasn't a crazy impressive performance on either side.
No. And by the way, JMU had some real chances to win this game, and they just weren't ready for the moment.
Yeah.
I don't think we're done hearing from them. I think it's a good defense. It's a good defensive front that mostly bottled up Louisville. I still think their offense can be good. I don't know what their offense is right now.
Right.
And this is a team that I think is probably going to contend for the Sun Belt, might have something to say about a playoff bid, depending how everything else breaks around college football, because things will break. But Bob Chesney still has not made up his mind at the quarterback position, and he's playing both. And it's kind of getting weird.
Barnett and Sluka?
Yeah, mostly Barnett, but then they have both in the backfield, and it doesn't feel like there's a cohesive game plan. And so they're going to have to figure that out. They lost by 14 here against Louisville. As long as they got that defense, though, they're in it.
Yeah.
I'm going to read off a couple games here, okay?
I'm ready.
Tell me which ones jump out to you. We had Syracuse winning over UConn in overtime, 27-20.
Win your clunkers.
We had Clemson fighting with Troy after a long weather delay, 27-16. We had Florida State putting up the most points of anyone this week, 77.
Guess who just got
Murdered. 77-3 over East Texas A&M.
Okay.
They led 49-0 at halftime. There's that. We had NC State beating UVA. I have a weird news thing about this.
That was a fun game. That was a fun game. I watched a lot of that. Continue.
Pitt wins by 28 over Central Michigan. Georgia Tech was trailing early to Gardner-Webb, but then pulled away, and Wake Forest ended up winning by 32.
Yeah.
We also have a handful of games that have been going on here at night, including North Carolina, BYU, and Miami and Cal, all of which I believe have won. Takeaways.
Not a great day for Syracuse, but it could have been worse. Extremely losable game. They came back. I think they sent it to overtime. Steve Angeli threw the ball 50-plus times, which if you're doing that, it's probably not great. But it worked. They got it done. NC State, CJ Bailey's really fun. He moves well. He had some design runs. He was throwing the ball really well. NC State's defense leaves a good chunk to be desired still, especially against the run, or at least against Virginia's running backs and rushing attack. This was a really fun back and forth, and I think technically a non-conference game, right?
Yeah, that was going to be my weird news item. Yes,
oh,
but
okay.
because NC State had previously scheduled a matchup with App State that was canceled, this game was used as a fill-in. But as we've seen on occasion with other ACC matchups, it's two ACC teams playing each other, but it's not ruled a conference game. So technically, this won't count against either of their ACC records.
Their schedule still looks even harder now, by the way, NC State's to finish out the year with Georgia Tech, Miami, Florida State, and also on the road against your Pitt Panthers after playing your Notre Dame Fighting Irish. But until then, it's not super bad. And if your starting point again, NC State with quality quarterback, interesting offense, I don't know. They're very watchable.
So in the Big 12, we've got Arizona and BYU both winning 24-0 at time of recording.
Okay.
Those games have not gone final. In terms of other ones that we had yet to mention here, I don't know if there was much in the way of notable action, but Texas Tech won 62-14. Utah won 63-9. A lot of blowouts this week, by the way. We had Cincinnati winning by 14, Colorado beating Delaware by 24, Ohio knocking off West Virginia 17-10. Apparently game day was going to go to the Backyard Brawl next week, and then they flipped the switch, and they're going elsewhere now after West Virginia lost. So there's
Thanks
that.
for nothing, Parker Navarro.
Yeah, seriously. UCF almost gets up to 70 against North Carolina A&T, and Houston goes on the road and beats Rice.
Yes. There was another Big 12 team who played in a game in the Pacific Northwest.
Well, Dan, let's shift over to the Big 10, and let's play the sound one more time.
Guess who just got
murdered? Holy crap.
You had this 41-24.
69-3?
Yeah.
I am not kidding. When you told me that Oregon was up 20-0, 41-3 at halftime, whatever it ended up being, it did not compute to me that they were playing another Power 4 team.
Yeah.
It did not compute at that moment, and we did the preview for it, that they were playing Oklahoma State. That's almost like enough to overload my brain. It broke me for a hot minute when I looked at that schedule, or when I looked at that score and then realized who was on the schedule. What the hell, man? What was this?
Oregon in early September appears to be one of the very best teams in this sport. Granted, against an excellent FCS team in Montana State and a not so excellent Power 4 team in Oklahoma State. This was from the gun. Oregon's playing 8, 9 receivers. They're playing 4, 5, 6 running backs. They're rotating a ton on defense.
Man,
They look big, fast, angry, strong, disruptive, and they were doing all of that quickly. And it was a sight to behold. Dante Moore looked great. Again, it's Oklahoma State. I don't know. We'll see. They get Northwestern here next week. They get Oregon State, who is nearly as good as Fresno State. And then they get Penn State. And so we will definitively learn more by December or by the Penn State game at the end of this month. And they look like they have they're playing with ants in their pants. I don't know what they're just on fire.
That's like the opposite of Penn State right now, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Penn State looks that good.
Yeah, I saw a lot of Penn State people kind of disappointing with the lethargic nature of the offense today.
Someone in our Discord at verballers.com hit the nail on the head. And the comparison that he was drawing was to either previous versions of Penn State or just other teams that we have seen recently, where it becomes somewhat in vogue to say that, well, they don't want to show too much, right? They're holding back. There's an inclination here to watch Penn State and say that because it doesn't feel like they're firing on all cylinders. It does not feel like they're playing at, this high level that everybody expected coming into the season. And as I think we have found over the years, whenever people start saying that, it's almost never true.
Yeah.
There's almost always something else going on where they're not motivated or it's taking a while to click. That doesn't mean it won't click at some point. And it doesn't mean that there aren't some elements for sure of this Penn State team that are even more encouraging than last season. I mean, they're using receivers now, which is definitely a welcome change.
Sure.
But all that being said, it felt to me like the offensive line not playing as well as it could.
So it was like Drew Allard missing dudes? Or
Missing dudes. The defense was, I thought...
they pitched a shutout.
A little bit more bend, don't break than I expected in the first half.
Okay.
I don't know. It just feels like, much like we saw last season, there is another gear in there somewhere that we expect to see and we're eager to see. And you would expect to see against FIU, but we didn't. And so that's discouraging. That to me is discouraging. We didn't see it in their first game. Didn't see it now. It's obviously a good team. They're clearly going to be in the conversation the full way through. And maybe it's just one of these deals where it's going to take them a little bit to kind of integrate some new pieces, but there's a lot back. So I don't know, but I came away feeling somewhat underwhelmed by this, even though, to your point, yes, 34-0, they pitched a shutout.
Yeah, and they have Jay Wright and Villanova coming up here.
Washington's up 42-10 at halftime. At time of recording, they're going to go on to beat UC Davis. Ohio State 70-0. Shout out Julian Saiyan, baby. Going Super Saiyan. He broke Will Howard's record from a year ago. That record being 13 straight completions, 13 for 13 to start off that game against Notre Dame in the national championship. In this one, Julian Saiyan started his game 17 for 17. He was very good. They were playing Grambling, but nonetheless, Ohio State did what Ohio State's supposed to do. They won 70-0. So good for them. Otherwise, we had Indiana winning big over Kennesaw, Minnesota 66-0. Wisconsin winning by 32. Big game for Danny O'Neal, by the way.
Ahead of Bama next week, yeah.
Be afraid. Be very afraid. Rutgers by 28. Ethan Kaliak-Manis, another 250 passing game. Okay. Nebraska getting close to that 70 number. 68-0 over Akron. USC winning by 39 over Georgia
USC
Southern.
looked very strong. It's Georgia Southern. There's the Clay Helton thing. They
look
throwing
really good.
Through the air. They looked extremely legit. The defense made plays, but they have like Purdue coming up. It's going to be a minute before we see what a true test for USC looks like, but they're taking care of business.
Purdue won by 17. UNLV did beat UCLA.
My home dog of the week, yeah.
30-23. And the game of the day, though, in the Big Ten was probably the double overtime thriller between Michigan State and Boston College. It's a fun game.
Felt like a game Michigan State definitely would have lost last year and did lose, if I remember correctly, losing to Boston College last year. Michigan State, even with the mistakes they were making at times on offense, finished crazy impressively. I really like Dylan Lonergan for BC, by the way.
He was
Aiden Childs, you kind of have to hold your breath when he has the ball.
Yeah.
But I think there is something to Jonathan Smith and knowing your team has a plan, knowing your team has a play in those big moments, and came away very impressed with how Michigan State finished.
And last but not least, we had two SEC teams getting up over 70. Bama won 73-0 over UL Monroe, ULM. Tennessee won 72-17 over East Tennessee State. We mentioned most of these other games, Dan, just in passing. Auburn wins big. Arkansas wins big over Arkansas State. We also had a game with Texas A&M. Marcel Reed had a pretty good game. Marcel Reed got hurt at the end of this game.
He's going to be okay.
He's fine. It's not a thing, but obviously fans were a little bit concerned. Georgia had a weather delay. They win. LSU kind of struggled a little bit.
Georgia kind of won in the way you talked about Penn State. I think that's how Georgia kind of won. Who they
Austin P.
It was kind of a slow start. It was a lot of pickleball. There wasn't like when you watch that Georgia, especially on offense, watch that team. You didn't come away thinking like, all right, they know what they're doing. They've got a plan. Everything is operating very smoothly. That wasn't my thought watching today's Georgia game.
No, I think I'm with you. On that one. And then the only other one is that South Carolina won. I think we covered most of the Power 5 here, Dan.
We did. Power 4. Really spicy day, by the way, in the American, to be clear. So you have the Army win. You have North Texas coming back and winning in overtime against Western Michigan, because that wasn't looking good for a minute. Texas State won their rivalry game on the road against UTSA. I think it was Brad Jackson had a really nice day through the air. So, give the Bobcats their flowers. Really nice day in the American. And Tulane survived, as I mentioned, fear the Jags. In that letdown spot.
33-31, yeah.
So that was a tight one, too. So really fun day in the American.
I'm with you. All right. So, as you know here on the Solid Verbal, if you have listened for a while, we have reverbs that are coming up. But we started this thing last week where I read off some of the weirder things that happened.
Please.
Just take this music down a little bit. We'll keep it weird. The weirdest game of the day. Fresno State 36, Oregon State 27. Here's why it was weird.
Okay.
Fresno kicked 3 field goals in the fourth quarter. They got a pick 6, helped them seal the deal late. But this game was an abject disaster on special teams for Oregon State.
Oh, I did see this, yeah.
The coach got caught on a hot mic. Actually, it wasn't even a hot mic. He knew it was a hot mic.
Yeah.
Dropping an F-bomb talking about his special teams. I saw something here in this game that I've never seen before. This is a game that featured like 6 bad snaps. But towards the end of the first quarter, the Oregon State punter catches, subsequently fumbles the snap. Instead of falling on the ball, he decides to kick it off the ground like he's Tim Howard trying to clear across.
Yeah.
Doesn't get enough steam on it.
No.
Kicks it right to Jaden Carrillo from Fresno, who is running forward, full speed, picks it up, runs 42 yards. They count it as a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Never seen that before, Dan.
No. News to me.
How about this one? How about Mizzou bringing a fan out onto the field to kick a 45-yard field goal for a chance to win $25,000?
I love that.
In the border war, you know what he does?
I do, but I'm not going to spoil it.
Pulls up his shirt, painted on his chest, it says FKU.
Yeah.
And then he kicks the ball at the Kansas sidelines. That's the border war.
Some things are bigger than money.
NC State came from behind. They beat UVA 35-31. Nice effort.
Confirmed.
We talked about it. Chandler Morris underthrew a ball, had it picked off, a minute left from the 12-yard line. Notably, though, as you mentioned, this is a non-conference matchup. It's a little bit weird. A little bit weird for the reasons that I mentioned before. And last but certainly not least, let me get rid of this music. It's starting to creep me out, actually.
That's okay.
Too late. Minnesota, as I mentioned earlier, won 66-0 over Northwestern State. That's not really notable. They should beat Northwestern State 66-0. But it was such a beatdown that they ran out of fireworks, Dan. They ran out of the celebratory fireworks that they shoot off from the scoreboard, from the Jumbotron. 9 different players scored touchdowns for Minnesota. An absolute beatdown. They're at Cal next week, which I'm actually kind of excited about.
That should be fun.
Could be an interesting matchup. But running out of fireworks is, I think, a new level of offensive efficiency that we have not seen in a long time, if ever, at Minnesota.
Yep.
So kudos to them.
Yeah. By the way, we didn't really mention Texas. I don't know about Texas.
Should I put the music back up here?
Yeah, that was kind of weird to me.
Yeah?
Arch
What's going on with Texas?
He made plays. I don't know. It's just like a bunch of penalties. Like, I'm having a latex salesman moment with Texas right now. Like, you want to be my number one team? I know they lost last week, but you want to be like in this like short group of teams, and you don't have your act together against San Jose State. They won the game by 30+ points. They're not anywhere near a finished product. And if we're talking about them as like a top 2-3 type team, they got work to do.
Yeah. Bring that music back down. All right. We've got dude alerts coming up. We also have your week 2 reverbs. Here is the way this works, one and all. People call in, they leave voice messages. Our guy Shay cuts them up. We mix them together into about a 3-minute segment, thereabouts. These are your week 2 reverbs. This is the pulse of the verballerhood. Have a listen.
Look, you got to give Rich Rod credit for taking his team on the road to Athens to take on a defending conference champion. Oh, wait, Athens, Ohio?
Yeah.
This is Josh from Pittsburgh. This is Patrick from Toddy Allen.
This is Dave from Chicago.
This is Pat, a disappointed Hawkeye fan after the game today. I'm now taking advantage of the window of opportunity and out at an art festival with my wife.
Iowa's offense is like watching 2 plates sunk together in the dishwasher. And at this point, I'd rather watch the dishwasher.
Hey, Ty. Just wondering what your favorite Iowa first down was in that first half.
I had this message loaded up for Dan because from Harrisonburg, Virginia, I was so ready to tell him he was wrong about the JMU Dukes. And then I watched our offense, and I shouldn't have even left this message.
This is Steve from Atlanta, Georgia, calling about 2 Indiana. Smoke 'em, you got 'em. Coach Sig wins again.
It's time to talk to your children about the playoff-bound 10-2 Illinois Fighting Illini.
Ty, you were absolutely right. It was ridiculous for Vegas to spot Oregon 28.5 points. You were the only one to speak truth to power to those goobers out in the desert. So I say kudos to you, sir. Kudos to you.
Hey, SMU, you're going to need a gold Trans Am to beat these Baylor Bears. I don't know if you're going to get that again, though.
Does Drew Aller have a little bit of Christian Hackenberg in him?
Dan, Ty, I've been sitting in my room staring at my framed photo of Pat White for the last hour and a half. It's going to be a long season, isn't it?
Yeah.
Big 12 teams don't just walk into Athens and get wins. Iowa State in 23, West Virginia today. Country Road, Singer. Back home, baby. Roll Bobby.
Your Maryland Terrapins win again. 12-0 is practically a certainty. Go Terrapins.
If I may quote the late Amir Abdur-Rahim, this ain't the same old South Florida. Go Bulls.
I just can't say which makes me happier. Florida State winning by 73 or Florida losing to some Bulls. Go Noles!
Even as an Oregon fan, Mike Gundy should have been fired years ago.
Hey, Arkansas State, you complained for about, 70 years about getting Big Brother, and you finally got him. How'd that taste today? Go Hogs.
I don't know if you guys are going to talk about it on the show or not, so I have to say it right now. We have the first great new Pac-12 rivalry. Go Dogs! Woo!
So the problem with Kansas State this year is they decided to play football, America's game, in another country. And you know who that bothered? America. And you know who defends America? The Army.
Ooh. Did not make that connection.
Yeah.
When we got that call comparing Aller to Hackenberg, I almost spit my water out. It almost came out through my nose.
Who do you think that was insulting or complimenting?
I'm not really sure,
Yeah.
to be honest with you, but did not have that one on the bingo card here tonight. Thank you to one and all for dialing in 855-VERBAL-3. We open up that line every Saturday, every game week to get your thoughts. Another excellent batch. Thank you, Shay, for doing God's work putting that together, Dan. Shall we bring this guy home and do some doodle alerts?
Let's do it.
Who are our week 2 dudes, Dan Rubenstein?
We got a lot of it's Vakari Swain, right? The South Carolina punt returner.
Oh, yeah.
Who has
He's got to be a dude.
Absolute dude. Even though I think they're South Carolina State tonight, it's still hard to return punts for touchdowns. He just does it like it's his job, which it sort of is, I guess, at this point. I have the connection between Sawyer Robertson and Ashton Hawkins in there. I have Deuce Robinson, even though, yes, it was against East Texas A&M. He goes for 170-plus yards. Virginia running back Jamari Taylor was incredible. Jon Mateer, obviously, for Oklahoma, absolute dude. Jaden Mayava for USC. I think he averaged like 18 yards per attempt. That gets you in there. Bo Pribula, of course. I'm trying to think who else I had. I mentioned CJ Bailey for NC State. I felt had absolute dude qualities. There's nobody. I mean, Dante Moore was a dude, but he played like 2.5 quarters. Like Oregon could have dropped 114 points on Oklahoma State with their starters in.
Well, we've got to give.
Who else?
Got to give a dude alert to Kyle Conradi, who kicked the big game
Yes.
winner 2 years in a row now.
Yep.
In the Cy-Hawk game, and I think we'd be remiss if we didn't also mention Aiden Childs, who had a pretty good game.
He did, and came up big late, and he was injured late in that game, and sort of seen on the field by medical staff. Really impressive day for Michigan State, and able to get over BC in that way. So, yeah, those are your dudes. Anybody else you want to add?
Julian Sayin had a pretty good game, as did Jeremiah Smith. I mean, not necessarily the toughest opponent, but it's still impossibly difficult to be that efficient. So kudos to them.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, and I'll go Luke Altmaier, Hank Beatty as well. That connection was very good.
All righty, there you have it, folks. That is your week 2 reaction special. solidverbal@gmail.com, of course, is the email address. If you've got anything further you got to get off your chest, please give us a holler and let us know. You can always find us on social media. If you have yet to do so, if you've made it this far, please hit the follow or subscribe button wherever it is you find us. We would appreciate it. If you really like what we do, leave us a star rating or review. All that stuff helps more people find the show, okay?
Agree.
And last but not least, verballers.com is where you can go if you want all these episodes without the ads, get access to bonus content, vote in the Verballer Top 12 poll, which as soon as we hit stop, I'm going to put together and post for everybody out on verballers.com so we can start getting votes. I guess I'll wait until tomorrow morning since there are some games going on. We'll just be fair to everybody involved here. But before long, that will be out there. If you go to verballers.com, you can vote if you're in our certified or premium tiers. Dan Rubenstein, another week in the books. Week 3 is going to be a banger, as I mentioned to everybody on our last episode. Clear your calendar. Make sure that you've got 12 hours blocked off to sit on the couch and watch football next week, because it's going to be a big one. We're going to start talking about that one on Tuesday. In the meantime, for that guy over there, Dan, for myself, Ty, as always, thank you so much for downloading, for listening, for supporting what we do. We will talk to you all on Tuesday. Stay solid.
Peace.